Marriage isn't always perfect, but healing is always possible. Welcome to Let the Healing Begin with your hosts, Apostles Lee and Kimberly Thomas. This podcast tackles real life issues with raw truth and a powerful his and her perspective. We talk marriage, we talk sex, we talk loss, love, and relational challenges couples don't always say out loud. If you're ready for honest dialogue, faith filled insight, and a practical wisdom that restores connection and strengthens your marriage, you're in the right place. Come, journey with us as we let the healing begin. Hey, good evening, and welcome to Let the Healing Begin with your host
Lee?
and Kimberly Thomas. We are here tonight to share some insight with you on marriage, sex, and relational issues that many couples do not like to talk about. We vow to give you honest dialogue, open dialogue. We're going to give it to you clean and raw. Before we get started tonight, I want to put this disclaimer out here. We do not claim to have the monopoly on marriage, nor do we claim to have mastered this thing called marriage. But what we do have is a marriage. We have experience, and most of all, we have a mandate from God to share that experience with others so that we may help you along your journey in this thing called marriage. So, we're going to get started tonight with Let the Healing Begin. We want to thank you for your patience tonight as we had some technical difficulties coming on tonight, but to God be the glory. It was worth the wait. It is going to be worth the wait.
Yes.
So tonight we are coming, we have kicked off this series with what do you bring to the table? So tonight we're going to talk about an issue that I think a lot of times we overlook because we have our own perceptions of what a spouse or a partner should be able to do for us in a relationship and in a marriage. So tonight we're going to talk about the fact of how do you handle it when the person you are with cannot give you what you're looking for.
That's that's kind of mind-boggling for just a half a second because here's the thing: when you're in a relationship, you both come together thinking that it's going to be perfect. But how can you expect a person to give you something that they don't possess?
Yeah. And that's a great question. So when we started thinking about this, we were just casually having a conversation one day, and we were talking about relationships. We were talking about individuals. And so the concept of the fact that when we come into relationships or when we begin to connect ourselves with our partners, we have different things that we seek. We seek different things from different perspectives as a his perspective and a her perspective. So we come with all these expectations of what this partner should be able to do for us. And a lot of times, emotionally, women, we come with a long laundry list of expectations. He has to be tall, he has to be dark, he has to be handsome, he has to have all this and yeah, he has to be all that. But we have the false perception that he is able to emotionally
Uh-huh.
take us to a place of healing because many of us we come broken, busted, disgusted, we're beat, battered, bruised, cracked, and chipped. And we finally find that person and we bring all our emotional baggage. And when he is not equipped to handle what we are presenting, there becomes an issue.
Let's talk about that right there. When you say he's not equipped to handle. Now, if you found this individual and
Mm-hmm.
he's the one,
Mm-hmm.
but now all of a sudden he's not equipped. Let's talk about that equipped part.
Okay. So when we talk about equip, what I'm saying is
Hmm.
not that he's not capable, not that he's not able physically, but think about two individuals from two different backgrounds. You have an individual who has gone through a lot of trauma in their life, and many women come into relationships that have experienced a lot of trauma. We have experienced childhood trauma, we have experienced young adult trauma, and we bring all of these things into our relationships and into our marriages because we have never dealt with those things. Now, we're with a person who has never experienced that. You're with someone who may have never had or never been exposed to any childhood trauma, never been exposed to any mama daddy drama. Everything may have looked perfect in the household that they grew up in. So now you have this traumatic um and I'm gonna use drama queen for lack of better terms. Y'all don't shoot the messenger, but just bringing all of that to the table, and I dump this in your lap. If you have never experienced this or never had to deal with this, you do not know how to help me emotionally become that whole person because that's nothing that you're used to. So when I'm having a meltdown because of separation or isolation issues or rejection issues, and you've never experienced that, you've always had love. You never experienced rejection in your family. You never experienced abandonment in your family. So you don't know how to deal with me emotionally. And many times what happens is you may look at me and say, you're a drama queen. Really, it's not that serious. Get over it. And these are the things that we encounter because of the simple fact that he cannot give me what he does not possess.
Okay, did you actually allow, or do you think they actually allow the man to actually help them when they're holding in all these things? Because I can't give you what I don't possess. And if I do possess it, how can I give it to you if you don't unlock the door? Because women, you say, come in with all this stuff and he's good on this end, but not good on that end. Is it because they're not listening? Or is it because, most women feel like we got it all together and you're not there, you don't understand. And it's not that a man doesn't understand, it's just that you can't fix a piece of a puzzle. You need all the chips, and then you got to be emotionally and mentally ready to unload all this, because I can't work with, if I'm building this thing, I can't build a house with half the blocks.
That's true. That's
And
true.
when the man starts to build on what you have exposed to him, and he can tell you, from what you're telling me, if this is true, then from what you're saying, I can only, this is the answer. And then you get mad because that's not it. You don't understand. But what I really don't understand is I don't have all the working parts.
Okay. Okay. So being transparent, coming into our relationship as we were dating,
Hmm.
I came from a place of incest. I came from a place of previous relationship abuse. So there were many things that were triggers for me. Touches were triggers. Certain smells were triggers. This, oh no, buddy, that was definitely a trigger. All of these things are triggers, and they were triggers because I never healed from those things. So You may have been doing this to come and do this, but all I saw was this. And when I saw that, it was a wrap. It's done. No. So emotionally, you said, is it the fact that we automatically say you don't know, you don't understand? And sometimes that is true. We assume that the person will not understand. We assume that the person does not care. And a lot of times it's us, because we have been so trapped in that place of trauma that we have built our own 6 by 9, and we are locked up in this place. And the person that God has ordained for us, that has come to rescue us and unlock that personal prison that we're in, the first thing that we say is, no, you don't understand. We don't want them to understand.
Oh,
We don't
yeah,
want them to
yeah.
understand to a certain degree, because this is this is what has been working for me, because this is where, when I get sick and tired of you, I can say, you know what, I'm done. I'm done, because you don't understand. You don't understand what I went through. You don't understand, how I all my life I had to fight. You don't understand that. You don't understand it. So this is what you have to think about. Sometimes, ladies,
Oh
raise
man.
your hand, because sometimes, ladies, these are places that you don't want to allow to be touched by anybody, not even God, because to you, this is your safe haven. This is the place that you can always run back to and claim that He has no understanding of what you have gone through, because this is your retreat of basically saying, this is my defense. So anytime something goes wrong, I have a scapegoat.
So in the midst of keeping all her secrets
Mm-hmm.
and having a safe place to go to, and you built up this wall, you know, and the man said, "Well, okay, I'm done. I can't do this with you
Mm-hmm.
for the simple fact that you're not letting me in. You tell me you love me, and everything's good, but everything's not good. How do you expect to heal, and how do you expect the man to help you heal if you don't want to be healed? You got this stuff locked up, and men, they say we simple. I tend to agree with that because it is what it is. I ain't gonna worry about what it ain't, because that's a problem that I ain't even trying to deal with, for the simple fact that that was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And if we here today, let yesterday go. And that's where the problem with the healing begins, because you holding on to yesterday. And then here's the most significant part to me. You don't think about the man had a past relationship too. And when I met you, this was the wherewithal with everything was over. We gonna start from scratch.
Right.
But in the midst, you kept secrets, and now when the man wants to touch, feel, and all that, first you start off, no, it's okay, now stop. This was that. Wait a minute, we're in the middle of this. Now it stopped. You know, you got to really think about what you're doing. And if an individual really don't love you like that, and they're trying to build love, it
Right.
ain't gonna never work.
Right.
Now, if this man loves you like that, he gonna do what he can to kind of let it smooth over. But you know what? Pressure bust a pipe. And then if the man decides to leave and I'm good, y'all go ahead, you go, I'm out. Oh, you never loved me, but did you love me because you didn't tell me the truth?
Right. And that's the thing. We come into relationships, we bring so much into relationships, and not only do we bring baggage, we bring lies.
A bunch of 'em.
We bring lies because we don't want to really deal with um the past. We don't really want to deal with the real issue or get to the heart of the matter. So we lie. We lie, we jake it to fake it and think, okay, well, if he's meant for me, we can make it. But no, you can't jake it to fake it, because one thing, the real you is going to show up after a while.
Yes.
And then you're going to catch him or her off guard, because you have been faking all this time. And now all of a sudden, whoa, who is this?
and we're here. And that that I've talked to several people about this, and that's where the problem. I love her, she loves me, and we're going step by step, and we're constantly building what seems to be a relationship or a marriage, and we're gathering
Mm-hmm.
up all these things, and we're bringing other people into it, which is our children and all this stuff. But where are we in this?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I'm looking over at you like, golly, but I'm still digging a hole,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And then when it gets to the point where it's about to explode, then you never love me, you never care,
Right.
what we doing. Nothing. I just created a lot of debt, and now I'm done. you
But that's
know?
one of the things, and you said something right there. Because it's very rare that you find someone that does not have a family or a child. And so this is where a lot of things come in, because these are things that we bring to the table. So here we are. You may have a single female, no children. You have a male with many children. And so we're coming together, but it's a total package. Same thing with a female with children and a male with no children, or even a male with children. It's a total package.
You got to blend it.
It's a total package. And so this is the other thing that brings about, you can't give something that you don't possess, because when you have all of these things that come into play, when you have these families, you bring these families together, you're blending the family. Here you are, here me and my children, here you and your children, and now we're coming together. You have to take into consideration that there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of attitudes, there's a lot of mama over here and daddy over here, and there's a lot of influence, and there's a lot of things that we bring. And sometimes children lie.
Yeah, they
They
do.
lie. They lie because they don't want to see their mama and daddy
With somebody
with
else.
somebody else. So they lie and they make it hard. And the first thing that you say, the person with the children, you don't understand. These my kids. These my kids. So now automatically you threw up the fence, and now here we are. We at a crossroad, because sometimes we be like, okay, well, yeah, you're right. Them are your kids. You and your kids.
Deuces.
you know, But if you really and truly love that person, it takes a lot of understanding. It takes a lot of compassion. It takes a lot of love. And let me tell you, ladies, when you have a man that has children, you have baby mama drama. I don't care how much they act like they like you, they don't really like you. Because you got something that they had. And they look like, oh, y'all look like y'all making it. No, no, I don't like you. But I can fake like I like you. And then I'll do little manipulative things that really will show up in the long run that I really didn't like you. And vice versa. With men tend to be a little different. But when you have to deal with baby mama drama and all of this stuff, it's not easy, because sometimes women use the children to create havoc, bring all kinds of wedges in between the person and their relationship. They do all kinds of stuff. And when they do these things, you don't really realize. And everybody love their children. And so if my child comes to me and say he did X, Y, and Z, well, whose side am I gonna be on? I'm gonna side with my child first before I even know what the real deal is. And so then we looking like, wait a minute. How you gonna come and say this to me? What do you mean? Yeah, when life situations happen, yes, ma'am. You see the true version of a person.
Person. Exactly.
Let life situations happen. And I always had this joke with him. And I would say blended families take work and communication. Yes, ma'am. Yes, a whole lot of work and a lot of communication. But I would always joke with him. We had this running joke that he had women in his life. He had baby mamas in his life. And I would joke, I say, you know what? They ain't want you till I cleaned you up. Then and when I clean you up, then here come everybody coming out the woodwork. Now everybody wants you. And so we always used to laugh about that. But we had to get to that point. Because when I tell you that when it's not easy, when you have children coming into a relationship that we didn't have at the time, we didn't have children together. So he brought children into the relationship, but children come from other means. These were not my children. I had to tiptoe around them because I was always on the side of, you don't understand. You don't understand because a lot of times, even though you have parents and these are your children and you want your children to get along with your spouse, you want your children to build a relationship with your spouse, there are things that children do, and they do it in a way that they know that you're not going to see it. And then if something is said or something is done, then the other individual is wrong. So we have to look at that. What in the world?
Actually, what it is, when you get together, you take vows. And
Uh-huh.
if you don't take those vows seriously, or actually think about the vows that you took,
Mm.
they say count the cost. And when you become one, it's supposed to be that one. But like you said earlier, you have to grow to that because if
Grow.
this is something that you've never been in before,
Yes.
then you got a problem, because here's the thing: past life,
Mm-hmm.
and life be lifing.
All
Say,
the
for
time.
instance, like me, I used to have a good time. Club, party, have a great time. So it was nothing for me to come home 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Then you get a wife, and no babies in there. We good. Look, I was chilling. What your lip out here for? Everything you need is right here. But then you got to think, you're no longer by yourself. We're one. All right. Then it comes down to your kids. Then you have to really find out what time it is for where, because you know what? That's where that stigma comes in. These are my children. These mine. We together, so we belong to each other. And I want this to happen, but you have to realize we became one, and these other ones gonna have to get down with these ones in order to make it work. And you just got to put your foot down. It's just that simple, but it takes time
Mm-hmm.
because you don't, you really don't get it at first. Until
Right.
you don't get it till you get it,
Right.
and when you get it, you got it, and hopefully you still have the one that you wanted to be with from the get go
That
one.
part. Think about how many relationships and how many marriages broke up,
Hmm.
separated, or even got divorced because of lack of understanding, lack of communication. I saw that come up a little earlier from Trevita. It takes work, it takes communication. And that's when you have to learn not to allow yourself to be played by little people, because little people will play you. They will play you and they will destroy what you have or what you are building because of what they desire. They don't have the whole story. They have one side of the story, and most times, one side of the story is twisted, one side of the story is warped, One side of the story favors one parent or the other. If we're going to be honest, one side favors one or the other. There's some lies that done been told on the parent as well as the parent's new person. There's some lies that has been thrown in there. There's some things that they will go to their grave lying about, saying that never happened, that happened. They know it happened, but they don't want the children to know it happened. And so we have to learn how to be honest. And it did not come for us overnight. It didn't come for us overnight. We had to work at it. And being honest, little people all man almost caused us to get clink clink because we was a whole wreck because of little people. Little people did things. Little people told lies. Little people did a lots of stuff to the point to where they caused nearly dragouts, fights. And so this is what, and y'all, we this is God ordained. Believe me, this has to be God ordained because this is not even what we even set out to talk about tonight. But somebody needs to hear this because somebody is on the verge of losing what God has for you because of little people. So listen to me very carefully tonight. Don't allow little people to destroy what God has given you. And don't you destroy it because of little people. Little people lie. Little people lie. Little people lie. Do you hear me? They lie. So you have to be very mindful. Be the adult because little people will play you against one another.
But even in that, we understand about the little people, but let's talk about the adults because that's what we say we are.
Mm.
We say we are adults and
Uh-huh.
everything, but what about the lies we tell?
Exactly.
We
We
lie.
drive the little people to lie.
We lie to ourselves and each other because we don't want the other one to feel a certain type of way. You know, I have a
Mm-hmm.
saying now that I say at church all the time: be true, but to thyself be true. Don't lie to yourself.
That's right.
You know what you want, you know what you like, you know what you need, you know what you desire. So don't go 50% on this and 100 on that. You got to be 100 all in, all the way around the board. And the thing of it is, you got to tell the whole truth. First and foremost, tell the whole truth to yourself about what it's
Mm.
going to be and what you want and how you're
Mm.
going to stand on this. And get some understanding. All I get some understanding.
Yeah.
And once you get that understanding, be true to yourself because there's certain things that you like and you don't like. So you got to count the cost and you got to tell your significant other, look, this is what it is. This is what I'm with. This is what I'm about. This is where it's at. Now, be willing to accept what they like and what they dislike. Because it's some things she'll do that you don't like, and some things you do that she don't like. So you got to come together on that. But if you're gonna be together, don't lie. Just get it out there in the open because you know that situation whereas you sit there and think that well hopefully
Mm.
that'll change. But I'm being honest with you, with the hopefully that's about all it is a hope.
Mhm.
Because
That's
if I've
correct.
been going through this and saying, okay, I'm good, I'm gonna be with you, we good, we good, I'm chilling, and I'm sitting there thinking, man, I'll be so glad when it's over. You're being untrue to yourself.
Mhm.
You know, if you don't want to go, don't go.
Right.
Be clear about it because after a while, you can only fake for so long.
Yes.
So don't allow the pot to start to boil and then the top pop off, and then all of a sudden well, it was cool before. Now why you all mad? We been doing this. No, I've been lying. I ain't want to
Right.
do it. Straight up,
Right.
I ain't want to do it. I was
Right.
just doing it. Hopefully that you would see I really don't like this.
Right.
You know, but that's also putting fuel to the fire.
Mhm.
Y'all, I was 50 when I turned 50 years old. Been a little while ago. But when I turned 50 years old, I was sitting there thinking, dang, I'm 50 years old. And I started crying, y'all, for real. Not because I was 50. I was crying because 50 years of my life, I did something that everybody else wanted to do. Not nothing that I wanted to do. Trying to be a people pleaser
Mm.
and not pleasing myself. So after 50 years old, I ain't doing nothing else. I don't want to do. You can't talk me into it because we make this we statement. Lord, I go if I have to go by myself. And then when you have to go by yourself, now you mad at me because I don't go. But then you got a right to be mad because I was going. But I should have told you from the get go I wasn't gonna go. Then we don't have that problem about you going by yourself.
Right.
So be true to yourself, so
Mm-hmm.
you can have a relationship and then heal from what you was already in. Because once you bring that baggage, then you got to realize that you brought that. Now, either you can put it in the receptacle and you and I can start off 100 and make it happen. Otherwise, you know, stuff starts slipping and falling out the bag, and then you can't put it back in the bag when it then came out the
Right.
bag.
Right. All right. On that note, we're going to take a quick break because we're going to come back and we're going to talk about this be true thing. We're going to be right back with you. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, we are back. We are back. We are back. So, we were just talking about this
Be
be
true.
true. This be true thing. Tell the truth, not your truth, because even our truth is not the full truth sometimes, but it's our truth. So we're going to tell the whole truth and nothing but the
The
truth.
truth.
Because even in truth, truth is offensive, first of all. And a lot of times we don't want to hear the truth. We would rather just, brush over it, or we tell a part of the truth. And then that's when stuff starts falling out the bag that you can't put back in the bag. And then if you're like me, I have a memory like an elephant. And you tell me part of the truth, and then when that stuff start falling out the bag, I'll be like, "Hey, you said such." And you be like, "No, I didn't." "Yes, you did. We were this place on this day, and this is what you had on, and this is what you said." I'm that type of person. I'm not going to forget what you said. I'm going to remember what you said.
Uh-huh.
And so that's why it's important for you to just go ahead and tell the whole truth, the real truth, and not your truth. Because when those things start falling out that bag, you're gonna have to come up with another half of your truth to try to make up another whole truth. And it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And that's what really destroys relationships, because all it takes is one time for you to tell a lie. Just one little lie. You be like, no, that's what I said. No, that's not what you said. You said part of that, but you didn't say the rest of it. And now that this part is falling out that you thought would never come out the bag, it was way down on the very, very bottom. And you said, how in the devil did that get up and out the bag? Because it was on the bottom. So how it got all the way from down there to coming out the bag?
I don't know. 'Cause I don't know nothing about that. But what I do know something about, I can speak on what I know about. And that is simply this. You got to be real,
Yes.
straight up. You got to be real, and I do understand that people do go through all those type of changes. See the difference between us and a lot of people out there. We about to have 34 years, but it hadn't been easy. It's good now, but on the takeoff, it's a little rough
Yeah.
because you can't sit there and try to pity pat around a situation. If you know you love one another, be 100 with each other and trust that they love me enough to go through it. And the thing about it is, if it's real, it's gonna last and it's
Yes.
gonna be there. But
Yes.
you can't build on a lie. You got to build on the whole truth. You got to build a real foundation. We were talking the other day when I was talking to some more guys about this, and he said he was explaining to his better half. He said, you looking at this boulder over here, but in order to become a boulder, you got to have a grain of sand, and it takes time. I was like, yeah, that was a real word there
Mm.
because that was the foundation. So you have to have a solid foundation. Some people feel like they all up there and some they down here and you there, and you placing people in categories. But without a flow, you can't get a ceiling.
Mm.
So
That's true.
you got to be 100 with each other so you can get to that ceiling.
Yes.
You know, and we have to build this thing together.
Mhm.
It's called let the healing begin.
Yes.
But when you have your relationship, it's no certain time to get grown. You can be 45 years old and the light bulb just come on. But at least start training yourself to tell the whole truth, because there's nothing like living in misery. I did that one time, y'all, for a long time, because I felt that, black men didn't stay with their families and raise their children. But you know what? If it's not working, it's just not working. You can raise your children and be a good parent, and you can also get with somebody else and be a better parent. Let's not forget the other parent gonna fall out for dead for the simple fact that you're doing extremely well now, and oh, you did all that for them, but why you didn't do it for me? Because you wasn't that person. If you're gonna say it, just be 100 with it. You wasn't that person. You couldn't give me what I needed to take me to the next level because you was trying to just drown me in what you had going on instead of building what we need to have going on.
That is a mouthful right there, because the Bible tells us that a wise woman builds the house, but a fool plucketh it down with her hands. So when you become married, when you are in a marriage or a serious relationship, and I'm not talking about being nobody girlfriend for the rest of your life. That's I'm not considering that serious, because
That's true.
anything I listen, to each his own. But one thing that I do know, God honors marriage. And there is no way that you should be in a relationship with somebody that claims to love you for over half of your life. There's no way that you should be somebody's girlfriend or somebody's boyfriend for 20 and 30 years. There's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with that. And the parties, both of you need to check yourselves to figure out, people say, oh, well, people don't get married anymore. Well, you know what? That may be what society is saying. Okay, well, marriage is not the thing anymore. But marriage is always going to be the thing because marriage is what God blesses. He does not bless your cohabitation. He does not bless your girlfriend boyfriend relationship for the duration. That's not what he honors. He honors marriage. He honors marriage. Okay, yeah, you're in a relationship. You're somebody's girlfriend, you're somebody's boyfriend. I'm not saying that you're not going to ever be blessed. But when you begin to become that one that God has ordained, that's when the blessings really begin to flow. That's when they really come. And
Yeah.
so when we start thinking about these things, and you said something that really made me begin to think about how, you talked about relationships and being honest and being true in relationships and showing up. Basically, you have to first show up for yourself. You got to
That's
be
right.
true to you. You got to show up for yourself, because even in marriage we lose a little bit of ourselves because it's a give and take. So you lose a little bit of yourself and you gain a little bit on the other side. But when we start to think about the fact that, going back to what the Bible says about the wise woman builds the house. So that means that even in times where you have all these other things that are coming in, all these things that are brought in, when you know that what you are in, that your marriage has been ordained by God, you seek the Father for strategies on how to handle what is coming, because you want to build the house. You don't want to tear it down. You want to build it. So that means that we build together. There's this analogy that Lee does a lot. He'll ask the question when we are counseling individuals, when we counsel couples together. He said, okay, if we have to get a rope on the other side of the house. So one part of the rope is on one side,
All the power here.
and one part of the rope is on the other side. What are you going to do? Are you going to run around the house and grab the rope that's on the other side, or are you going to stay over here on this side and work with your partner? And so many times people say, well, I'm going to run over there and I'm going to get the other rope. Well, how? And we're pulling against
Against
each
each other.
other. We have to understand we are working together. So if our goal is to get the rope to one side of the house or the other, you can't run your happy hips on the other side and say that you're going to pull because you're pulling against me. We're working this thing together. So, as the wise woman that builds the house, we're building the house, but he's giving us the bricks. He's helping us to lay the bricks. The foundation has already been laid, and we have to build upon that. The foundation should be love. In every marriage, the foundation should be love. However, we know that there's some foundations that's real rocky because they was based on, these Coca-Cola bottles and all these things, the sex and all of these things, let's turn off the lights. Yeah, all of that. And those are some shaky foundations, because when that Coca-Cola bottle leave and it become a 2 liter, you can't even tell that it was a Coca-Cola bottle anymore. Then there's some issues. Then there comes the issues, because now it's not that I don't see the one that I fell in love with. I see something else. So if that's what you are doing and that's what you see now, that's what you were all in on. So your foundation is rocky.
Correct. But here's the thing. That's what I was telling him about love. If I had a Coca Cola bottle when I started off and it turned into a 2 liter, if I love you, I still see that Coca Cola bottle because you know what? I helped build that.
Thank you, baby.
I don't you worry about it. I got you, girl. I got you. I helped build that. And that's the thing. But you got to be able to be honest enough to just to
Yes.
tell the whole truth.
Yes.
You know what? You've been together, say again, y'all been together 10 years. And in 10 years, you know you got tired of going to the gym and you know you got tired of eating salad.
Yes.
I need some steak
Yes.
and some potatoes. and that's what it's gonna be. So once you, if you in love with each other, you gonna see that same person because you know what? That's mine.
Yes.
You know, the Bible tells us a man that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of the Lord. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing of it is, you got to find one.
Right.
See, and when you find one, you're gonna know it because you're gonna be compatible in a number of different ways. You know, I'm not saying that you ain't gonna get on each other's nerves, but what I'm trying to tell you is tell the truth. That's what it keeps falling down. Love and tell the truth. Love yourself better than that nonsense. You know, it's all about you and him, or her and him. Then you got you something you can work with,
Yes.
you know, and then be able to talk and be able to tell the truth and accept what you hear.
Yeah.
And accept what you hear. Don't get mad and then you 3, 4 days you walking through the house and not saying nothing to each other.
Yes.
You know, cause that ain't helping. And then you grown. You ain't got to go through all them changes. Like I told you what it was. You told me what it was. I didn't like it. You didn't like it. It's okay. That's what it is. Okay.
Right.
But guess what? That was yesterday and that was 20 minutes ago.
Yes.
Cause at the end of the day, I'm gonna still be here and you still gonna be there. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
You know, let's do this thing and be 100 with it. Because here's the thing, you cannot, going back to what our topic was supposed to be about, how can a person give you something that they don't
Yes.
possess? You know, I can expect a lot of things out of you, but why you ain't ask that from the beginning? And here's the thing, a lot of times you can look at somebody and say, oh, yeah, that's it. They going to make it. It's going to be good. How you know? What you
Mm-hmm.
see is what you get. You saw what you was getting from the get go one, but
Yes.
because you thought it was gonna change. Now they was all in with me then. You need to be all in with me now because I like what I'm
Yes.
doing.
Yes.
You know, and that's the whole thing. I always wanted somebody that wanted better, and when I like to talk, I can talk, and I like to talk because I want to remind myself of what I really like and what I want. I like a lot of things. I like classy things, and everything I like got a big number to it. But I need somebody to go have my back to help me get to that number. And if you get with a person and you know the bedroom good, the facial and the figure is good, but that money ain't connecting, and you looking like this the best you can do. Oh, okay. Now you got a decision to make. Do I want to stay in this area or can I talk to you and really find out where your mindset at? Men, I tell y'all real quick, it's simple. There's a few qualities you got to really think about. And I was taught this a long time ago. Some stuff is gonna be too. Some stuff you can get, and you know where I'm at, and it won't wear. It's split and it won't tear. You can turn it upside down and it'll never lose a drop. You can't tell me now, man, that can measure. Number two, if she 100 with you, tell the truth. Tell her what you like and what you want to do, and then how can we make this situation better? You know, are you planning to have? What are your plans? What are your aspirations? Let's get with that part because the rest of it will come along because you can get whatever you need and she'll be that and he'll be that for you. But you got to tell him all that jaking to faking and this gonna get better. If this what it is, this is what it was, and this is what it's gonna be.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's so true because when you are dating a person, you see things and you either like them or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not that, oh well, that maybe that was just something that I just saw, or maybe that wasn't a real thing. No, that was the real thing,
It
because
was.
people only can fake it for so long. And so anytime you get with somebody or you spend time with somebody or you start to learn somebody, you see the things in them that you like and that you dislike. And
Mm-hmm.
that's with any relationship. Anytime that you connect yourself, but that's the problem because now it's not a thing where we're spending time to get to know each other. We're just trying to do what we do and keep it moving. But in order for your relationship to
Mm-hmm.
last, you have to spend time.
Oh, and you know what the other one is, guys? You can always get in a relationship, and sometimes, and this is a either or situation, male or female. You can get with somebody with a good mind and no behind. Good behind and no mind. It's very rare you get both, but when you do, you mess it up most of the time because this is just too good to be true. So you got to know exactly where you at with it, but you talk first. And
Yeah.
just know that if you talk, you can see and find out everything you need to know. And you can get that total package. And also remember this: look in the mirror at yourself and think and find out if you the total package yourself.
Yeah.
You feel
Yes.
me? And I mean, tell me, you feel me?
Yeah. So, as I stated earlier, there was someone that is watching us or shall watch us in a replay that really needed to hear what was being said. Because generally, what we try to do is we try to come with at least a topic that we know that will keep flow and keep it moving. And tonight, our topic was when, what do you do when the other person is not able to give you what you really need? But we want you to understand that there's so many different facets to life. There's so many different facets to marriages. There's so many different things that we deal with as couples. And so we have to maintain our integrity first of all. We have to be true to ourselves, be true to our partner, and understand that you have to be adults and have the hard conversation sometimes. You have to just really lay it all out and put it on the table, knowing that truth will make you free. If you tell the truth, you can't get anything else out of that. I tell people all the time, I've had somebody to say that, I don't have friends because I tell the truth. And that might be true. But one thing about it, you can't get anything else from the truth. The truth is the truth, and the truth is going to stand. You can outlive a lie, but the truth is what matters. And when your relationship and your marriage is built on truth, trust, and love, you have a great foundation. So it's time for us to let the healing begin. We pray that there was something that was said here tonight that is going to help someone on their journey in this life called marriage. For those of you that are out there and you are dealing with little people and baby mama and baby daddy drama, listen, I'm a living witness that you can outlive all of that if love is your foundation and the motivation in which you strive to keep your marriage together. God will keep it together for you. Build your marriage on a sure foundation. Put God first, love, and make sure that you keep open lines of communication. Be true, and to
Yourself
thyself be
be true.
true. Let the healing begin, and we will see you guys again on the first Sunday. We look forward to seeing you back here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In the meantime, if you have anything that you would like to say to us, check us out. Hit us up on our email. Our email is let the healing begin in me at gmail.com. Hey, come by, see us, and talk to us. We love the input, we love the communication, and most of all, we love being able to be the one to help you along in this journey. So let the healing begin. Until next time, we'll see you guys later. Have a great night.